Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining me. This is Liz Henson from Liz Henson Photo. She's been a member of GB Shared, in particular, started with us in our first county, which is Lancashire. And I'm going to hand over to Liz, who's had some successes on GB Shared recently, and she's going to share it with you so that other people can understand the value they can get. Hi, Liz, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Things are moving nicely. And I'm so keen to capture your recent success. But let's start with who you are. Tell us a little bit about your business and when you joined us on GB Shared.
So I'm Liz from Liz Henson Photography. I'm a commercial and brand photography specialist. I joined, well, Lancashire in its inception, all those many moons ago. So I've been a member of GB Shared since its infancy, and it's amazing to see how it's come through from just being Lancashire to going nationally with GB Shared.
It has. And it's been down to fantastic businesses like you, Liz, that just keep joining us and trying to keep as much information and opportunity at local level as well as sharing it out with everybody else. So we all have equal success. And I know recently you've had some success with our tender platform and some of the portal that we share tenders on. But before I share that and delve into it, can you just share with us what your experience of accessing and finding public sector contracts and tenders was before GB shared?
So I dabbled a very little bit before GB Shared and tendering. I'd found one through a university, which was a good couple of hours away. I'd had a dabble at it. I didn't hear anything back, and I was honestly quite disheartened because I just didn't hear it. I didn't even get an acknowledgement for it.
No.
They did come back to me then again later and said we'd like you to put in a submission, but I'd been that disheartened with it. I didn't do it again. I'll be
Mhm.
honest.
So the
But then I
process
came.
can, sorry, the
It's
process
all
can
right.
actually turn small businesses off, can't it? It's difficult to find tenders. Did you use the chest, Liz, or a contract finder or something?
To find that other one. Now somehow I found it myself through a
Right.
random internet search. So
Right. But enough to put you off tenders. And I know one of the things we did when we built Lancashire and then it became GB shared was to share government contracts and tenders. The government have got a remit to spend locally and sustainably and with SMEs. And that target wasn't being hit consistently. It's got a lot better. But one of the things GB Share did is if it was bringing businesses and news and jobs and everything together in a county, it wanted to share tender opportunities at local level because that is a big barrier for businesses being able to find them. Um, we've built our platform so that you can browse all of the tenders or you can opt in to have the specific ones for your industry sent to you. Are you opted in for tender alerts on our platform?
yes, I'm opted in, and I've narrowed it down to industry specific. This is a question actually. Can you do it to area specific as well, like we're saying with the local supply chain? I think that's an option as well, isn't it, within that platform? So I think
Yeah,
that's
so
selected for me.
when you opt into tenders, it is you can identify your industries. It's actually automatically location specific because every business joins GB shared by the county. We try and make sure the local tenders stay in the local area because that pumps the economy locally and helps people to win more business, reduces carbon and has lots of other positive impacts as well. Um, this particular recent win that you've this success that you've had is with a tender for UCLAN, which is the University of Central Lancashire. Um, how once you had that tender, Liz, and you spotted the opportunity, clearly it was for photography. What was your thought process in terms of, well, having had your hands bitten once before, were you apprehensive about applying? Did you feel confident to apply, or things were missing, or did you still need a bit of support?
I was very apprehensive given that previous experience, and yes, just looking at the initial supplier questionnaires because it came in two parts. Did this tender um, supplier questionnaire? And if you were successful, you then pull forward through to the tender. And even in some of the wording, just the documentation in that, I found utterly overwhelming. I won't lie. It's all in that, not legal, but that
It's
professional
corporate speak,
jargon,
isn't it? It's
corporate
corporate
speak.
speak.
It's
Yeah.
jargon to everyday people. I'm
Mhm.
a creative. I'm not the very best with my words. You'll notice this as I speak. But I'm like, I can do the photography. So why shouldn't I be
Exactly.
considered?
Yeah.
And this is the only way they will consider you is through
Mhm.
their process. I'm like, I'm gonna have to play with their tune here. So I did seek out help through a bid writer that we were put in touch with through GB Shared. And they just literally took all that overwhelm away from me.
Brilliant.
Explained the process, what would happen, explained each stage, and even broke those down into smaller manageable bits. So we just did a section. It's like, right, we've done that. Oh, I can. And then that got me that feeling of, oh, I can do this. So we just kept attacking it chunk by chunk, which was the process I needed. And it was great to work with that
Brilliant.
tender writer.
Well, I guess just for those people that are watching and not familiar with GB Shared, one of the things we do, yes, you're joined by county and you help to centralise your regional resources, and we share lots of opportunities, and that's how people access tenders. But we also recognise quite early on that sharing tenders is one thing. So I came from the public sector and I was head of employer engagement. So I appreciate there was a lot of businesses that really struggled. How do I find tenders? How do I find contracts? Where do I get the support? What do I need to have in place? In the long run, we share tenders by county and by industry and location. And we also provided bid support. And that was predominantly because a lot of businesses were feeding back exactly the same as you, Liz, where I don't understand the corporate speak, I don't understand the terminology, the time frames, it is worded. And it's something that we've tried to push with government, that every business more or less is capable of delivery, but not capable of accessing the tenders and writing them within the format they want. So that's a clear barrier. So one of the first things GB Share did is, how do we make this simple? How do we centralise tenders, share them out by location and industry, deliver them to the inboxes of business, and make sure they've got bid support on hand should they need to want to write it and win it. And that's exactly what you did. You contacted one of our bid writers. I think you went through Vicky at Tender Response, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And Vicky really pulled the stops out to work with you and turn it around really quickly. I did have a little feedback off Vicky. There was a bit of apprehension in the middle where you were kind of going, maybe I won't go for this. Was it around case studies and marketing?
Yes, because I didn't know whether I had enough under my belt, but after some careful consideration, they were there.
It
It
was.
just, yeah, you probably as a sole trader, you're just so stuck in your day to day delivering and just doing what you need to do for clients. These bits can often be put to the side, and then yeah, but they were there.
Well, they slow you down, don't they? And I know from you being a member for many years just how much you've done in terms of case studies and marketing. So I was a bit surprised, but I guess it's the tracking and measuring of all that and keeping it to one side so that you can pull it back out. And again, that's where I'm going to say GB Shed is tracking that for you. So it's tracking your local connections, your local supply chains, your social value that you're giving. And of course, if you win a tender, it usually says you must use local apprentices, local talent, local suppliers, which is also in the ecosystem to help you at the delivery stage as well. So really, really pleased that you accessed all of that. How was the experience with the bid writer?
Like I've explained a little bit, hasn't I? It just she really made me feel at ease with it, and it was something I could achieve. She believed in me from day one, and it was just that confidence that she put in me to be able to go forward, which was the catalyst really for me to
Mm.
take it forward. So it was just ease of hand holding me through each stage, each step, each bit of the process, and yeah, working with me at my pace, but in a way that she was like, right, come on, this is the next step. But that's the way I just needed to work, and she understood me, and that was
Yeah.
that's the main thing.
I'm so thrilled for you, Liz, because not only did you get on the framework successfully from your submitting application, but your score was pretty incredible as well. Do you want to share?
No, because I don't like
Oh,
bigging
still
myself
so
up.
bashful. Still so bashful, Liz. For those that are watching, Liz scored a successful score of 100%. Submitting and not just scoring 100%, but actually coming top on that framework. I mean, how did that feel, Liz, when, with all that apprehension and the first time using a bid writer and then pulling all your evidence and your case studies together and pressing submit and putting it in and sitting back for a couple of weeks? What was it like when you got the alert through?
Well, it wasn't just a couple of weeks; it was beyond that time. So that had got me down on a negative spiral of going, right, well, it's not me then. But I was utterly shocked, as if a sole trader like me, yeah, I've been in business 19 years, but as if little sole trader me can do this. Yeah, I can deliver photography, but as if I can do this framework, do this writing, and come out top. So I'm doing
Yeah.
something right in my business.
Which is wonderful. And we're absolutely thrilled that you're getting this kind of value. We're thrilled that you've got onto the ladder of tenders and frameworks, which is brilliant. It's going to help you no end with any future tenders and frameworks. And you're putting everything in place because you're part of your community ecosystem. You're giving social values, you're getting greener. GB Shared's membership is mapped to a global accreditation. So the more you share, the greener you become. How have those green rewards helped you on that journey?
So I'm in that process of getting the green accreditation. It's great to have that framework there. So as a base, again, as a busy sole trader, that has given me structure to know what I'm already doing. By being able to track it in GB Shared, we were able to pull that evidence through and stick it in the tender because that is what they want. They want that social value, they want the greener energy, um, an
Local
ecosystem,
supply
and so
chain.
supply chain,
Yeah.
all of that. And that's the beauty of GB Shared. Some of these businesses I've worked with for years, some are new, and we just can pull it through together, all within the framework that GB Shared has with the green accreditation and the full GB Shared platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a pleasure over the years, Liz, watching you use the platform to meet other businesses, to connect and create local supply chains, now to win tenders and frameworks, which is brilliant. And I'm delighted for you. I can't wait to see all of that unfold. What do you think this means for the future winning that framework?
Having that framework there will allow me to know that there is, I won't say it's not guaranteed work with how it is. It's the framework is now means I'm on a supplier list, but it means that I'm not having to go out and look for newer clients. You know what I mean? I've got that potential client there for the next 2 years with an opportunity for that to be extended. So that takes a lot of the pressure off the marketing and the sales side of the business, which
Mhm.
means I can deliver more, means I can go out with my camera. Because that is
And
probably the least amount of thing I do in my business is actually go out with my camera
which is the
because
bit
there
you
is,
love and why you got into
yes,
business in the first place.
yes.
So it's been a long, hard graft for you, Liz, but to win a tender and to come out top and to have the best score is just phenomenal. But to be part of an ecosystem that makes you greener without even thinking about it, I mean, you have to think about connecting, growing, finding opportunities, and there's a natural greener coming behind you. It is mapped to a global accreditation, so I do believe you are now, because you've collected some points and you've won your framework, you're going to go for the full accreditation. That's a pretty short process on GB Shared. So we've chosen a homegrown global sustainable accreditation. We've mapped it to our customer journey so that by the time you apply to become accredited, you're already halfway there with the activity that you're doing in your community. So it's been so good to see you winning business, getting greener, moving up the ladder. I can't wait to see you do this. But I think the other important thing to say is you're going to deliver this. This is guaranteed work for a couple of years, but you've found a big client, which is a university, which is good for your credibility. You've got a couple of years worth of work, which means it's good for your finances. But that contract was also won in your county, which means your carbon stays low while you deliver that, even if you do it in person, because you're not winning contracts at the other end of the country, you're winning it in your county, which means more money and opportunity stays at local level, your economy gets stimulated, local supply chains get created, carbon gets reduced, and hopefully if you keep growing and growing, you might recruit. And if you recruit local talent, that means our unemployment goes down and the spin off effect of sharing just keeps going on. So, from me, Liz, just thank you for always believing in that GB Shared mission when we first began as Lancashire. Thank you for helping us recognise how green sharing locally is. And thank you for using it to such an extent that you've done everything we would expect a business to do, which is come on board, help the local community, grow your business, get a little greener, and win contracts and tenders. It's the perfect story for us, and I'm so grateful that you've come to share it. Is there anything, Liz, with other potential SMEs, micro businesses, one man bands that are thinking about applying for contracts and tenders? What advice would you give them?
Use all your connections, get as much advice as you can from anybody and everybody. If you've got people you know already in these tender processes, ask them for what their tips and tricks are look on places like GB Shared for help from bid writers. They are there. That's why they're listed. They want to help you. Just go and have that free chat. Most of them offer that. Um, and then see what feels right for you, whether it does the if you can deliver the work and the whole process feels right for you. Just have a go at it.
Yeah.
Give it a good go, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Surprise yourself.
Well, I think you surprised yourself and the rest of us, but we are thoroughly thrilled for that, Liz. Just for anybody that's sort of thinking, okay, what's the catch? How much did the bid writer cost? You know, are you in by thousands deep? Can you give us a ballpark? Is it double figures, treble figures, quadruple figures? What kind of cost did it take for somebody to sit and hold your hand, pull your information together, and submit it for such a good score?
I can't quite
Would
honestly remember.
would you say it was thousands or hundreds?
Just to that thousand. Just into the thousands. It wasn't a scary amount as a sole trader, put it that way.
Right, okay. And the obviously because you've won, it's been worth the commitment. How would you have felt, Liz, if you didn't win it, if you didn't get on that framework? Would you have been disappointed? Would you have seen that as lost money? Would you have kept trying? Would you have got feedback? What do you think your approach would have been?
Definitely would have got feedback. I don't think I'd have seen it as lost money because the value now that I've got within this framework, well, the how it's mapped out and
Yeah.
that can be used across others.
Uh-huh.
So if I was to go for something else again next, I would have a good basis on some sections,
Yeah.
and it might be just a small section. It might not just be as big an investment if was to work again with a bid writer.
Hmm.
I might just say, can you help me with this section because I can do other bits.
Yeah.
So I've now got a really good base that I understand more of what is being asked for in these questions, and I can give it back if that makes sense in the
Yeah.
way they want to hear it.
I guess you can look at it as an investment in training and providing a blueprint for future tenders. So if you hadn't have got
Yeah,
through, and I do often say this to other small businesses that try, don't look at it as a loss. Look at it that you've got a blueprint that you can work on and build on. But I think this has brought much more to you, Liz. I think there's a huge confidence boost with the fact of your score, you know, being pushed on pulling out your case studies, your marketing, all the things you've achieved. I think surprised you on just how much you've actually done. So overall, I think it was a very positive experience, win or lose. However, the very fact that you won and you won by such a margin, we're absolutely thrilled for you. And I'm delighted that you've joined us to share it with others that are on that journey and trying to make that decision on whether tenders and contracts is for them. There's a lot of small businesses that don't apply. And quite often we say to local authorities, these businesses are more than capable of delivering. They just don't know how to write it, find it, and win it. And that's one of the key challenges. So again, thank you for sharing that with us. It does help us to sort of fight back with the public sector as well and say, look, share at local level. We deliver these tenders direct into your inbox by industry and location, which means you only get what's relevant to you and you can make a really quick decision. Um, Delighted you down the road, Liz. We'll keep an eye on you. Do keep sharing all of those successes and all the photographs that you take for UCLan. We'd love to see and love to share. But for now, a big thank you for joining me and sharing your story.
no problem. Thank you.
Cheers, Liz.